Hey there, Algebra 1 students. I had a request to talk about graphing using slope-intercept form. This is the topic that we standard checked right before we came onto the break on Friday the 13th. So if this is something that you're struggling with, hopefully this quick little video will help. So the first thing is, what is slope-intercept form? So slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And the first thing they're going to ask you, the level 1 question is, what's your slope and what's your y-intercept? So m is your slope. So this one right here, whatever number is here in front of the x, that's going to be your slope. And your y-intercept is going to be the number that does not have an x on it. That's going to be this one right here. Okay? So when I slide this up to show you the example, your slope is 1/2. This guy right here, that's your slope. And your y-intercept is 7. Now that is the point. Remember we did this right before we left. We said you have to write your y-intercept as the point 0, 7. Because that's the point where you go 0 over, but you go up 7 on the actual graph. So let's go ahead and plot that. So the next step is to go ahead and put it on the graph. That's how you get your proficient. That's how you get your level 3. So on the graph here, I'm going to go up 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's going to be my first dot. Okay, so right here on the graph, there would be a dot. That is your y-intercept of 7. Now let's talk about your slope. So remember your slope, m. You can call it m or you can just say slope. The slope for this was 1/2. So slope, if you remember, is rise over run. So rise up 1 and run over 2. So from this dot, don't go back to 0. Start right here. You're going to go up 1 and go over 2. So 2 spaces on the graph. Sorry, I don't have any graph paper here at my house, but it would be up 1 and over 2. Now, what if you couldn't go up 1? So we talked about this as well. What if I can't go up 1? I can go down 1, but if you go down 1, you have to go the opposite way for the 2 as well. So down 1, it would have to go this way, 2 spaces. Okay, but that lines right up. So there it is. All right, I'm going to slide this over so you can see one more example for this. And please feel free to stop it, rewind it, watch that again if I'm going too quickly. But hopefully this is just a reminder of how to do this. It's been a while since we've been together. All right, so this one, again, we have our slope and our y-intercept. So our slope is the one in front of x. Okay, so that's our slope. And our y-intercept is 3. Trust the process. I know some of you might be having questions already of like, how can the slope just be -2? But just trust the process here. So this point is the point 0, 3. So let's take care of that point first. So 1, 2, 3. Let's put a point right there. 0 over 3 up. That's our first point. Now let's talk the slope. Because the slope here is -2. So my slope, sorry, it's a bad marker. My slope is down 2. Okay, but you cannot just go down 2. That doesn't work. So if you just go down 2 and you put another dot right there, that's a special kind of line. So that's not it. There is a number on the bottom here. We just don't write it because we don't need to write it most of the time. So what number could possibly be on the bottom there? Well, that's a 1. There we go. So that's down 2 and over 1. So when you go down 2, 1, 2, and then count over 1, that's your next dot right there. What if I can't go down 2? Well, you can go up 2. So up would be positive, and then we just have to go left 1. So the other option is to go up 2, but instead of going to the right 1, we have to go to the left 1. Okay, and there's our line. Third type, because it just depends on what you're coming across in Khan Academy or on the worksheets that I've sent home. Your third option is that they might give you a line that is not in slope-intercept form to start with, but still ask you what's the slope and what's the y-intercept. Okay, so you still have to figure that out. You still have to know how to work from here. So your third type of problem, your third option, is this equation that's in standard form. So in order to get this ready for you to answer the questions above, you have to get this y value right here all by itself, which means you have to get rid of 3x and you have to get rid of 2. You need to get rid of both of them. So what we do in class is we always get rid of this part first, this 3x, the whole thing. It's got to go. So do the opposite. It's a positive 3x. So the opposite of positive 3x is going to be negative 3x. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this 3x over to this side. And hopefully this is looking familiar. Okay, these are gone. These 3x's are gone. So I've got 2y equals. Now here's where we differ a little bit in the class. I like you to put the x part first. It's not illegal if you don't, but it's just helpful if you do for slope-intercept form. So I'm going to put that first, and then I'm going to put my 8. Now I put plus 8 because that 8 is positive. If for some reason there was a negative sign in front of this 8, then this would be a minus. There's not a negative sign there, so it's a plus. Okay, one more step. The last step to get this ready and for it to be in slope-intercept form is I have to get rid of this 2. Okay, and a lot of times we think we have to subtract the 2 because we subtracted the 3 and the x. That's not the case because what's happening here is I'm getting rid of the fact that the 2 is being multiplied to the y. So I'm going to divide every number by 2. Okay, final answer here is going to be y equals, keep this as a fraction. Remember we said if you can't divide it into a whole number, you leave it as a fraction. So negative 3 over 2, you can keep the x up with the 3 or you can put the x just hanging out in the back, plus 8 divided by 2 is a whole number 4. Okay, now we can do exactly what we did before. We can identify the slope, we can identify the y-intercept, and we can graph it. So my slope is going to be this one, which once I graph that, that's going to make me go down 3 over 2. But before I try to go down 3 and over 2, I have to graph this y-intercept first, which that y-intercept is the point 0, 4. Okay, so if you were to graph that, you would start at the point 0, 4. Sketch a quick little graph over here on the side. Okay, so go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll put some tick marks this way, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to go up 0, 4, put a dot there. And then from there, we'll go down 3. So from that dot, count down 3 and over 2. Okay, connect the dots. And there you go. Hopefully that was helpful. Please, please, please don't hesitate to email me any questions that you have. You can also look back in your binder. More information will be coming out soon as to what we're going to do in the future weeks.